Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the latest generation for the Porsche 718 Spyder. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this sports car for me today. Definitely take a look at their website. They're always getting in some very cool inventory. That link is down in the description. This Spyder is finished off in Guards Red. Their starting MSRP was just shy of $100,000, and this mid-engine sports car is powered by a 4-liter Boxter flat 6. It's paired to the 7-speed PDK transmission, pumping out 414 horsepower, 309 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent to the rear wheels, propelling this 3,200-pound sports car from 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. It has a top speed of 186 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 16.9 gallons. You'll expect to see around 17 miles per gallon in the city, 23 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 97.8 inches. Its overall length is 174.5. It has a width of 70.9, a height of 49.8, and its ground clearance measures in at 3.1 inches. And then as we work our way to the exterior styling for the 718 Spyder, let's start off with all of the mesh cutouts in the lower section. This not only provides a lot of cooling to all the components up front, but of course it helps with better airflow, as well as having a heat extraction vent in the upper section of the bumper. So that way airflow can go through the middle and then exit and go over the rest of the car. Now this also has a set of LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. And the turn signals are actually mounted in the trim pieces in the lower section, so they are nicely hidden out of the way. And then there's some really nice lines that run down the front. You'll notice the deep contoured lines on the inside of the headlight housings, wrapping from one side of the hood all the way to the other. And then very nice lines in the lower section, as well as Spyder written out in that lower spoiler there. Now, being a mid-engine vehicle, this also has storage space up front. You can use the key fob to release that, or there is a button located in the driver footwell. And when you open this up, this has a lot of space. It is a deep compartment. You'll notice I have one bag in there, and there's plenty of room for any other items. It is so big that they had to put in the emergency release there. So if you were to get stuck in there, you can at least get out. There's some dome lights as well. And then you do have some access to windshield washer fluid, and the top of the suspension is on both sides there. So that way you can gain access to that if you need to. And then as we work our way to the side, this has a really nice set of 20-inch wheels. They're 8.5 inches wide up front, 11 wide in the rear. And then this has a massive Brembo brake up front with the Porsche badge there, of course. This has body-colored side mirrors, and then there's also a large inlet just behind the driver and passenger door to provide even more cooling to that engine. And as you can tell with the top down, it has a great look to it. This is the Spyder, so it needs to have a great look. If you're buying this vehicle, hopefully you have the top down a lot, and with it in its up position, I think it still has a great look to it. So either way, this is a very nice design. You'll notice too, with the top down at the moment, we have the two bubbles in the back section here just behind the headrest, leading all the way to the back. Now, with the top down, you can actually gain access to the storage in the rear. So it's this lower section, lower button on the key fob. And when you open this up, it does open a little bit odd just because it needs to do that in order for you to put the top up. But take a look at the amount of space that is in the back. This is not hindered with the top down. Top folds in front, and then you get this amount of space in the back where you might be able to fit some golf clubs, but you can definitely put a lot of items in. And then it's just as easy to close this and then lock it into place. Now in back, this also has a spoiler, so very nice to see this design with Porsche spelled out underneath that, connecting the LED taillights on both sides. There's a backup camera, parking sensors, and then a really neat design for that lower diffuser. You'll notice too the large gap right in the middle, so that way airflow can exit underneath the vehicle as well. And then the dual exhaust is on both sides. And then as we work our way to the interior, this is very nice. There's Alcantara and leather on the door panel, as well as hidden storage in the lower section where you could place some items. This is the release to exit the vehicle, so you can save some weight there. We have the window adjustments, side mirror controls, which are power folding, and then the Bose audio and even more storage in the front. So already there's a lot of interior storage. Now the two controls down below are for the front storage as well as the rear storage. And then this also has a beautiful set of leather seats with the Alcantara inserts. They are manual adjusting. So there's the lever to move it forwards and backwards. And then you have some controls on the side here, which are power operated for recline and incline. Now you can also pull on this lever to move that backrest forwards. If you had some smaller items, a jacket or something like that, you could put it behind the seat if you needed to. Now this is a low vehicle, so it's very easy to enter. And now we are greeted with the full Alcantara steering wheel with some brushed accents on both sides. This has the paddle shifters, of course. And then to start this up, with all Porsche models, the key actually goes over on that left side. So it's right next to the headlight controls. So by inserting that, I can twist it once, turn on the electronics, and then with my foot on the brake, let's bring this to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, you'll notice the two on the left side are analog, digital is on the right side. On the far left, there's miles per hour. TAC is front and center, along with what gear you're in and miles per hour. And then on the right side, you can go through that by using the stalk over on the right side of the steering wheel. So currently it's showing navigation. All I need to do is hit it up or down, and that's how you can go through the rest of this information. Now, if there's something that you would like to get into, like the lap timer, you can just pull or push on the stalk in order to start and stop it, as well as reset too. There's a G-force meter, as well as your performance. You can look at some vehicle vitals, as well as your audio, and then back to your navigation. So it's nice to have all of those, and it's very quick and easy to get through that. Left side, there's cruise control settings. And then also over on the left side, the e-brake is located down below. There's one air vent along with this red trim accent. There's also a clock front and center with two air vents underneath that. And then for the infotainment system down below, you have a little bit more that you can go through. You can get into your media, your navigation, you can get into car. So this is how you can go through some of the lap timer settings and configure all of that. You can also swipe over and look at some general information. And then we have a few averages to pull up as well. You can pull up your audio too. So not a whole lot, but it's nice that you have this and the navigation at least. There's also a CD player, so you have those controls for that. There's power and volume for the radio, as well as this control, which you can use to go through all of this information up top. And then down below, there's another digital screen. So you have your temperature on one side, fan speed on the other, and some other defrosters, where you'd like the air to go. Everything's laid out very well in front of the shifter. Now with my foot on the brake, the release is on top, so I can go into reverse, where there's the backup camera. And then this also has the manual setting, so you can pop it over, shift using this, or the paddle shifters like I mentioned earlier. And then behind that, there's lock along with the hazards, and you have a lot of controls for the driving modes. We have PDK Sport, so that way you can make the transmission quicker. There's a suspension setting, two different traction control settings. We also have the rear spoiler, which you can activate. There's the exhaust note, and then the engine start stop. And then the two controls in the middle are for the power operation for the top. You do have to have the vehicle on and running. From there, you'll use one of the controls on the inside to release the soft top. It will roll the windows down too. And then it will also release the rear trunk lid. Then you do have to get out of the vehicle. You need to release the soft top from that rear trunk lid on both sides. From there, you can open up the entire rear trunk lid, and then you can manually fold the soft top down into its location. You do have to have it locked in place, so you'll have to go on both sides to do that. And then from there, you can lower the rear trunk lid, and then you do have to attach two clips on both sides just outside the headrest. So the armrest right in the middle is finished off in Alcantara. There's a release on the passenger side to open this up, where there's wireless charging and then an auxiliary in the back. And then over on the passenger side, not only do you get the glove box along with another auxiliary, but you also have cup holders that you can release. So just push on those, and now you have two cup holders, one for your driver and one for your passenger. I think that's a really nice integration. A lot of vehicles should have that because they are hidden when not in use. And then up top, we just have the rear view mirror, as you can see through the back there. There's really no visibility issues with the top down, of course, so you have a full 360 view. And then as we put the top up, this is the visibility that you have. A little bit of a pillar right there, but you can see around it. You have the window in the back and your side mirror, of course. This side, you do have that pillar right there, but you can lean your head over a little bit. You can use your side mirror and just learn where you need to see. You can also look straight out the back there at that rear wing. But now let's go ahead and get this out on the road. As we set off now behind the wheel for the 718 Spyder, not only does that sound good, but with that PDK transmission, it is, I would say, the best automatic transmission in any vehicle. It is very, very quick and responsive, especially having it in the PDK Sport mode. What I also think is really cool too that I didn't really notice earlier is how short it is to upshift and downshift with the shifter in the center. It's almost like it's a sequential one that you see in rally cars. So if I slow down a little bit, because there's not a lot of play in it, so it makes it really cool to do it here. But look at the amount of headroom that I have at 5'10" with this convertible. So I could put on a helmet, or you can put the top down and still wear a helmet. And so that gives you a lot of space on the inside. You can be a lot taller than me too. A lot of convertibles, usually from what I've seen, kind of sacrifice a little bit of headroom, but not in this one. That sounds really good. I do wish it was slightly louder, but you could always change that if you wanted to. But driving this Porsche, even with the convertible or being the Spyder, it's very comfortable and quiet. I'm only at, 45 miles an hour or so, so I'm not out on the highway, but I love how refined convertibles or Spyders have become in the last several years. It doesn't feel like a convertible from the inside, which is nice. Only downside to it is that you do have to get out to do it, so I won't be putting it back down, as you've already seen that process, but with it down, it's what you would expect with any other convertible as far as wind noise and everything like that goes. But it's not that hard to do, as you already saw, but it's a nice benefit that it's comfortable and quiet even with it up. And this is a true driver's car. I like that there's not a lot to go over, but you have everything that you need. Navigation, music, that's really all I listen to in my sports car. And it's nice that you have some digital clusters in the middle there to give you some of that updated technology and feel. But we still have some analog old school gauges to give you a part of that feel too. So I think it's a really good blend for this modern car. And it's very practical too for a mid-engine. There's not a whole lot of mid-engine vehicles that have storage up front and in the back. The only other car I can think of is the Corvette C8, which has a little bit more in the back and a little bit less up front. So that's kind of the only other competitor I could see. Maybe the McLaren GT that I just recently reviewed. So there's a few out there, but not a whole lot, which makes this that much more practical. If you want to daily drive it, you can't put in large items, but you can pack it full of normal day-to-day items if you want to. And the handling with this car is fantastic. I'm not on the most twisty roads, but with its lightweight, its mid-engine design, this is a car that's going to handle incredibly well. And I can't get over how quickly you can go through those shifts, even downshifting to get a little bit more power. You can just tap, tap, tap. That's why I like the shifter here. Like a rally car, you can just row through these gears super quick. And from second gear, here we go. And just like that, we're up to speed. I love the feel of using this shifter. If you really put your foot on it, this red line's at 8,000. I'm sure this would just be fantastic to hear, and just going through the gears up to those speeds. This would be a heck of a lot of fun. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the 718 Spyder. As small as it looks, it's really not all that bad from the inside here. I'd have plenty of room with a passenger next to me. Seats feel pretty wide too. So this would be a nice two-seater vehicle that's not too tight like a Mazda Miata. It's not at that level of being too confined even for its size. And visibility, even with those pillars I showed earlier, it's still easy to see. So it definitely gives you a good feel for its size. It feels very roomy for the smaller vehicle that it is. And this is nice. It's funny that we have the releases with the straps there to save a little bit of weight, but we have AC and we have a few other things. I'm not sure what other options you can spec with this. I'm sure with Porsches, you could go through a laundry list of items that you want, don't want. I don't know if power seats, full power seats are optional or anything like that. And one last acceleration for today's video. Now actually, if we do that again and we take it out of the PDK Sport, let's see if there's a difference in its shifts, if they're as quick or not. And let's turn the exhaust off just so we can hear it from this perspective. It is so hard to tell, but I think it does get a little bit more crisp in PDK Sport. But that is what it's like to drive the Porsche 718 Spyder. Once again, huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.